Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the speedrun against ZJ Show. He starts with the knight. I'm going to copy him just to see if we can transpose into a Benoni if he plays d4, as he can't play e4 because it hangs. So people who start with the knight, they're generally, queen's pawn type players. Yeah, or c4 or d4, one of those. He goes c4. I mean, I'm going to copy him and hope that he goes d4, trying to transpose again, but I can't force it. If he started this way, he might go for like an English looking setup. I'm still going to Fianchetto and... Okay, he's going for e4. Maybe he's going to put all of them in the center. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to create this little pawn chain and protect my knight against e5. He develops his bishop, and it's about time we Fianchetto. And we have this nice dark square control. He castles, we castle, standard stuff. Okay, so he breaks in the center. Now, technically, if he pushes next turn, we're kind of going back into Benoni. I mean, we should take. That's like the best move, but yeah, I'm just going to take. If you play the Benoni, if that's your repertoire, and someone does this against you, you're not going to try to go into a Benoni. You're going to play an even better position. So this is part of your repertoire, even though it's not a Benoni. So I'm going to do this instead. So we develop a knight. He avoids the trade, which is super awkward because it doesn't coordinate and it's on my side of the board. So after I kick it, it doesn't really have a good square. So it's odd. I don't know if I mentioned it, but this guy's rated 1682. Now his knight is oddly placed. And I prefer black. So, what do we want to do? We still have a bishop we need to develop. Do we have a decent square for it? Either of these is playable, but I think d7 probably makes more sense. So now we developed faster than white, right? He still has a minor piece on the back row. We don't. And let's just see what he does. He develops the bishop again. He moves the bishop again. Defends the pawn. It's kind of odd. Tells me maybe he wants to move the knight, which is why he over-defended it. But it walks into tempo moves. Although if we go here, he's just going to go back. But if we go here, that might be better. We get to improve a piece for free. We'll take the bishop off the board if he allows it. He goes back. We're now pressuring this one time. So now we get to develop for free. So when I see a move where I can develop for free, I don't think too hard. I'd usually just make it. And he protects it. While it does protect the pawn, the drawback is it severely weakens the dark squares. Now the knight's undefended. I do have a lot of stuff in the way though, so I can't immediately use it. He will likely Fianchetto himself. Okay. Now our knight is probably going to get hit with some f4, e5 stuff. So now that we provoked this weakness, we got our rook in the game. I think my knight's fine here. If he goes here, maybe I'll hit the queen. Maybe I'll just move back. Unclear. But what else do we have? His knight's undefended. So can we break this down with b5? He can't take because his knight would hang. If he gives us another turn, we have b4, which is funny because it's not the first thing that comes to mind. And he might just counter with f4. If we hit the queen and the queen goes somewhere, and then we can retreat the knight to d7, looking at c5. I like that. So let's go for b5 because it's tactically cute. He plays f4. I don't want to put my knight here as it doesn't have a good square once it's kicked. So instead I'm going to improve my bishop for free. So I started an attack, he countered, and now I'm countering that. His queen cannot make a threat, so he can't counter that. So it's going to be my turn next. I will retreat the knight to d7. That will get one of the pieces out of the way for this diagonal, which we like. He also just opened up the dark diagonal, right? Okay, why would he put his queen here? It's aligned here, and it's aligned, it's aligned here. Super awkward move. Does he want to go here? So I was going to go back here, but now that he put his queen here, I can get to here with tempo. And I'm going to do that because then my knight's still reasonably placed. When he moves his queen, I can go b4, right? We still have the fork, I believe. We also have this check, but he'll counter us, and we don't want to counter. So don't give every check you see. Just win material. And like I said, this wasn't immediately obvious. I mean, it's right in front of you, but for some reason I can see how people focus here and completely miss the fork. So now something's got to give. 16 moves in. Our dark square strategy prevails on where? The dark square complex. So he moves the knight. We take this, and now we have a discovery on the rook. So none of this creates a threat, which we check first. Then we see how can we win this rook. Well, if you just move your knight somewhere, he can actually stick a bishop here because it has knight support. But if I take material and he takes my knight, then I could scoop it. And he can't move his bishop with a forcing move to win my bishop back. Okay, I don't think I'm hanging anything. The one downside, well, it's not a downside, but if you ever take his rook and he does get your dark square bishop, in this case he doesn't, but let's say he does, you win the exchange, but you lose control over the beautiful dark square diagonal. And then if he has a dark square bishop, he can use it and try to equalize that way. Because a bishop is almost as strong as a rook, in a way. Okay, he goes back instead of taking the knight. So in this case, we don't get the rook, but we just got the central pawn, which also works. So if we take this guy, he's forced to take back, and his knight's on a weird square. If we don't do that and just let's say x-ray is queen, and he takes us, and we take, well, then he might have some checks, and maybe his knight can go to a better square. So I'm going to misplace his knight, put it back on his side of the board. A Fianchetto knight's generally not what you want. It also undefends this square, which allows us to give the check now, and he doesn't have an annoying bishop response to block the diagonal. So it looks like a developing move for free. So we're leaving our knight hanging, and if he goes in the corner, boom. So you see, again, dark square domination, and that's one of the drawbacks of moving your f-pawn. Now, I move my f-pawn in so many openings, but it does definitely have drawbacks. And that's why lots of title players are afraid to do stuff like this. Move their f-pawn early, or play the king's gambit, or play the f4 line against the French, the Caro, or the Sicilian. Like, you never see that stuff. It's definitely playable, though. It's not like they don't play because it loses. It's just riskier, and these guys like to play solid. So he goes there. This looks like an obvious move. What else? I mean, it's hanging, so let's just do it. I don't want to look for better. Let's just get this over with. We threaten mate in 2. He blocks the mate by opening up his rook. We're up 5 points of material. I just want to improve my pieces. Like, this hits the queen, but what does it really do? I don't know. Knight in the center. He hits our queen. We go here. He can't take our knight because of check well, taking the rook actually. And then if he trades, that's good for us. I guess it works. We're also threatening to the bishop, so it's improving a piece for free. It meets my criteria, and he defends. Fair enough. Now that the queen blocks some, the knight blocks the queen's activity a little bit. Now what happens if we hit the queen? It has less squares, so does it do anything? Also, do we have this weird checkmate idea? We hit the rook, and then we go check. He takes. All we need is a rook here for checkmate. I guess he could take with the queen. We're up a rook. I'm just going to trade. We're up a rook. However he takes back is bad. If he takes with the queen, we're just up a rook now with absolutely no counterplay. He knows what's happening. We have 3 units, 4 with the king, but you need to prioritize the non-king units. So let's do that. We need files for our rooks. Now you could lift it up because it has scope. Alternatively, you could try to push utilizing the pin. But that's a little fancier, a little bit unnecessary. So I'm going to open a file this way. If he takes and I take, I'll have a nice D file. He intermezzos this, but I'll counter intermezzo, or I'll counter strike his rook, right, to get the turn back. So he hits this pawn. We could just take and have some open lines. It's possible. Could also defend the pawn, which is funny. I'm going to do that because if he takes, we initiate trades again. My rook's now going to be on the open file. He goes hitting bishop. I'm just going to give a check. Pawn moves are not the way when you have a Fianchetto knight. So he's 1700, but he's not following the rules of focusing on the pieces over the pawns. See, you don't leave a knight on b2 for, like, look how many turns. It's just there the whole game, right? You don't do that. So now you guys know. He moves his king. We take free stuff. Now we have a passed pawn that we can connect like this, and the game is over again. We just have win condition on top of win condition. That was a mistake, opening up our rook for us, which supports the pawn thrusts. This is coming next. Now he reroutes the knight. Too little, too late. And if he pushes past trying to say, hey, I have a 3-on-1, I'm going to get a queen, I'm just gonna keep pushing my pawn. He's hitting the bishop. Again, more meaningless stuff. I mean, let's improve our rook because we're just going to keep this construction. We're not actually going to push for the time being for like 15 turns, so the rook doesn't need to be there right now. He takes the bishop, another mistake because now we have this construction, which is even stronger than before. He does have a 3-on-1, but he's never going to get to use it. So this is coming. Yeah, right? So we reached 1666. We have 134 points to go before we get new openings. Hee. And how do I feel about that? Happy. Scandinavian works very well for consistency, but not my jam. So we have one mistake, but 94%. It's not a real mistake as it goes from -3 to -2. Doesn't matter. Okay, so development and center. Center, development. This is development king safety. This is center, development, and prophylaxis. You never want your knight to be kicked. That's why people don't play the Alekhines defense. Development and king safety. King safety and development. Taking a central pawn with a flank pawn, ruining his pawn trio, which is a good idea, and then developing center with force, right? Nice coordination on dark. Weird move. I mean, for 1700 to make this move is kind of odd. But anyway, improve our position for free. Development. You could maybe go here. Uh, yeah, engine also likes bishop e6. No big deal. And now improving a piece for free because bishops are stronger than knights. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I can explain it, and I do plan on making a video explaining actual real piece values that they lie to you about. But he goes back here. Development for free. Already, we are not up anything. So I want you to try to look at this. Who do you think is better? Forget the bar. Who would you normally think is better and why and how much better? But it's actually minus 2.4, which is completely winning. But it's only that high. I mean, it's still minus 2 about with normal moves, but it's minus 2.4 if you find the best move. What's the best move, guys? B5. We found it because it comes with weird tactics and he can't take because he just undefended the knight. Now, I can see how for some people they won't be able to find this move, and that's fine. So if you use the drawback principle, because this utilizes the drawback principle of the undefended knight, but let's say you go, what does this do? Undefends these squares. How could we utilize that? Queen a5. Is it a coincidence that that's the second best move? No, it's utilizing the drawback of his move based on the geometry. So it makes sense. So we play b5. He hits our knight. You could go here, the engine says. I thought that was odd, though. Oh, I see. It only is going to work because you are going to be able to use this square because you're going to have this check, and because he moved his queen, his bishop's not going to be able to interpose. So you could even go queen here first and then knight here, trying to do what we did in the game type of thing. Okay, so I guess it does kind of have a square, so you could go that route. I threw the bishop here. They say this is my one mistake of the game, going from -3 to -2, because I think the queen check plus the knight thing, which we did later in the game, it probably worked here. It was kind of strong. In any case, this is still a good move, improving a piece for free. Yeah, I thought this was super awkward. Why in the world would you crisscross on the dark squares when our whole strategy relies on controlling dark? Makes no sense. So knight d7 is super strong, but because he put his queen here, knight c6 becomes the best move, improving a piece forced and for free. He goes here. Boom. b4. Free stuff. Free stuff. Now, is knight takes e4 best? Yes. Otherwise, you just move it out of the way somewhere and open up the bishop. And he'll block, but you'll still have an open diagonal. So we find the best move. Now, apparently, he should take the knight. But he doesn't. Okay. We've played the best move, which misplaces his knight. So it's free stuff. Why is it free stuff? Because trades or wins when you're up a piece like this with a solid position. That is a caveat. If you have a terrible position with chaos, you got to think. But when your position is harmonious and solid, trades are free if you're up a piece. Especially we're misplacing his piece, so strategic win. And now, boom, develop a piece for free, -7. This was hanging the entire time, so forced, improving a piece for free. Forced, improving a piece for free. What's the best move? Okay, so bishop f5. Oh, yeah. Knight b4. Oh, yeah. Two different ways I could have scooped the bishop. But this is just as good almost, from -7 to -6, so whatever. But yeah, those were pretty obvious. Anyway, improving a piece for free. And it doesn't matter what you do. So we just trade because trades are wins. If he takes with the rook, I mean, you could go to the back rank and he loses the game. So he's forced to queen trade, but he's forced to queen trade down a rook. That's why none of that stuff even matters, because you're so winning. And then here you could do whatever you want. You don't need to find the best move here. And it is the move I mentioned, d5, utilizing the pin. I didn't do d5 because I didn't want to deal with d5. He pushes past, solidifies. I mean, it still doesn't work, but I just didn't even want to, so I went for e5, just as good. Force move, let's say. Force move for free. Free stuff. Force move, force move, force move. Improving our position. Improving our position. Force move, and mate in 9. So super smooth game against ZJ Show. And hopefully you can at least see like the rhythm of the game. You can see how we use the dark squares to win. And you can see how this move is kind of awkward. It doesn't lose him the game or anything, but you don't make moves like this, right? Because you can see how it doesn't have good squares to go to. Also, that queen move in the center was kind of bogus, so just pay attention to things like that so you know exactly what not to do. In chess, I think it's just as important to know what the bad moves are as the good moves. So that's just my opinion. Good luck in your chess. Submit your rapid games in my Discord or below. Goodbye.